Hello everyone, Dolgy here, and I was wrong. And I hope it's not too late, and I hope you see this video on release. And I was wrong about Agnes, of course I'm talking about her. So if you're watching this on release, I hope you still have her banner up and you still have possibility to pull her, to get her copies. So, of course, when she was announced, and if you watched my tier list videos, to be honest, I have two of them. If you watched them, you may know that I said there that she may not be the top priority. Sorry, she may not be the top priority. You may not want to prioritize her that much. And I still let's do it without spoilers. So yeah, I told back then that she will be a boss monster, and she of course will be, as everybody was thinking the same, everybody was forecasting the same in the community, that she will be the boss monster. But only that. And I told in my tier list videos, if you didn't watch them, go and watch them, guys, it's worth it, believe me, that she's not a number one priority. But I was wrong about her. She's definitely not a number one priority, a little spoiler, but she's very decent in general PvE in my opinion, but in very particular circumstances. So let's tour through her skills and through the situation, so I will tell you about her more and why I think I was wrong. Yeah, also, it's still very clear that she is still, and of course she is, a boss killer, boss queen. So we're talking about Guild Boss Rush, Minos First, all that stuff, New Era, Ranger Boss, all of them, like any boss content you can imagine in the game, and I believe we will have more of that in the future because it's typically how those games are being designed and developed in the late years. So she shines there, but the very important thing here is that if we are now with some guys, with some folks from my community, from my Discord, we are doing some calculations on the guild boss rewards, because for some reason there is no info on the net about that. It's hard to find any info about difference in rewards from Guild Boss Rush, from any other activity. So we are now making those calculations, but we already have first results, and we can say, and I can say to you, that the average difference Agnes is giving to you without her and with her fully built on your boss stages on a weekly or daily income of resources, the difference there is around 7 to 10%. So it's not that much. So let's say Ares Nexus and Agnes Nexus or Agnes A3 Plus, the difference between them in final rewards, not in the score will be very, very different. But it doesn't mean if the score is 3 times more, it doesn't mean that the rewards will be 3 times more. And that's exactly what we're calculating now, and I will do a separate video on that topic. So the final rewards will make a 7 to 10% difference on average, which means in some in some cases difference will be more. For instance, in Minos difference will be much higher. But in the middle of the cases, in the majority of the bosses, difference will be not that high. So 7 to 10% daily or weekly difference is around 3 weeks per year of the difference of resources. Yes, it's a lot, but you need to understand that to do that difference, you need to spend a whole lot of resources to pull 12 or 14 or whatever copies of Agnes. So today we'll be elaborating her in general PvE, and we will talk about that. So first, let's take a look at her skills. If you are not familiar with them, you can go further into the video if you know them, but for now, let's focus on them very quickly and briefly. So her ultimate is stackable ultimate, so she deals damage AoE to all of the enemies out there on the enemy side of the battlefield, and so she's dealing damage to equals 20% of max HP, capped at 2000 of her attack, and for each cast of this ultimate, she receives a death moth. So for each death moth, she will receive additional AoE hit from her basic attack. So when she has 3 death moths, she will stop casting her ultimate, but will trigger the AoE damage effect automatically. And additional max HP damage from basic attacks becomes AoE damage, which is very powerful. So To long story short, she wants to cast her ultimate a lot of times, and then she did that. She's becoming a monster. She's scaling her damage, and the damage becoming AOE and all that stuff. So her first skill is that she deals damage to 3 random enemies, and that's important that she is decreasing the damage reduction of them. So this effect can stack up, so they can lose close to 100% of the damage reduction. Also, then she has 3 mouths. She will not use the skill anymore, and she will gain 50% crit rate, which is, by the way, I believe not that powerful, because she will have the damage of max HP anyway, and maybe decreasing the damage reduction of the enemies is more important. So she needs to get this done before she ultis 3 times or whatever. So this is tricky, but it's not the most important part of her kit. So the next skill is her AoE damage. So the important part here is that for each death mouth processed deals additional damage equal to 10% of target's max HP. That's what I just told you. So this is the damage about max HP, and plus it scales when allies cast their ultimates. So every time ally casts an ultimate, within 6 seconds she will trigger this effect once again. So this is again important because we now see the whole design of her. Her design is long bottles with lots of ultimates being casted by her and by the enemy team. By of course by your team. So your team and her, long bottles and casting lots of ultimates, and we will see this in all her kit, in overlay, in like everywhere. So fourth skill is her passive, that she takes lethal damage. She cannot be one-shotted. So if she has at least 2 death mouths, she will not be one-shotted in any case. So any hardcore guild bosses you can imagine, like this guy with a pipe or a samurai, they will not one-shot her. But the guy with the pipe will kill her anyway because he's dealing damage for 5 seconds after the cast. But yeah, so idea here is that she cannot be one-shotted. And it looks on paper like a crazy skill, like a character with invulnerability, right? But to be honest, Station is not like that, because then she's being targeted already. In the majority of cases, it means that whole your front line is dead, and she will be removing her death mouths immediately after the first invulnerability triggers. She doesn't receive any like untargetable effect when it triggers. On level 2, it's important that no death mouths are consumed for the first trigger, so she at least will twice trigger that in the majority of battles. I would say twice or 3 times. So yeah, on paper sounds very interesting, and this is her biggest difference for her role, because if we take a look here, we can see that speciality here, it says damage and only damage. So there is a whole list of characters, the whole list of heroes, the whole type of heroes in that game, who we can call glass cannons, right? So those characters, they are mostly mages or sometimes rangers, but mostly mages, who just there to cast their spells in the backline because they're glass cannons. If enemies are targeting them, they are dead for a second. So this is what makes Agnes different. She is a glass cannon, but not from glass. She is a concrete cannon, right? So she is trying to be a glass cannon with the survivability mode enabled by this and also by other stuff in her kit. But we will discuss that if it works or not. So also her soul vessel here, it's very simple. So every time she hits an enemy, she gains attack equal to 1% of the enemy's max HP, stacking up to 6 times. So why we and the second and the third level, they just give her damage reduction, and for each death mode she has, up to 3 obviously, 60% of the damage reduction is converted to damage increase. So this works very simple. Then she has 3 death modes, she has 48% damage increase and damage reduction. So this is that simple, but it's very important, and I will tell you why. So first of all, if you take a look here, so if you take a look at those numbers, you will realize that the difference between the average level to 150, which is not true, when you push high campaign deficit, it will be different. The average, difference between the health of the character and the attack of the character is around 15 to 20 times. So all the characters, they have 20 times more attack than the health, than the attack. So then we are looking at this and see that this is for each attack stacks the attack of Agnes to the enemy's max HP. This is a huge number. So this one is stacks her attack up to 6% of enemy's max HP, right? So 6% of this number, let's say, but it will be even more if we're talking about high deficit campaign or tower or whatever pushing, and the same for like bosses. When she hits the bosses have a crazy amount of HP, and that's also the reason why she is a boss killer. So that's very important, gives her lots of attack and lots of capabilities to kill the target. Also regarding the MLA, it's also very important because it again brings us back to the whole design idea of this character, that she needs long battles with lots of ultimate casts by her and by her allies. So each time an allied hero uses their ultimate, Agnes gains 5% damage increase, stacking up to 20 times, which is crazy. Each time an allied hero uses their ultimate, Agnes gains 2% precision and 4 fatal strikes, taken up to 20 times. That's huge. And also she does more damage to summoned units, which is also very important for some versions of the content, but that's not that huge about the topic I'm now trying to elaborate on. So then we see all that together, we definitely understand that they were trying to make her this backline damage dealer against, first of all, bosses, sure, but all this talk is about her being a good character for not bosses content. So let's think about that. So now we know, right, that she is there to, first of all, be a long battle character. So she's a backline character, carry, probably solo team carry in the majority of cases. And we know, don't take a look at this account, guys. I'm just trying to showcase it here while I'm doing my dailies. This one is not up, but I tested her on A3 Plus on the main. And also, guys, in Discord, they are testing it on even close to Nexus. So it's all good. Tests are there. Maybe I will be bringing footages from our accounts just for you to know and to see. So, but what there is a huge list of the different compositions made and working for this same idea. And so in my compositions tier list and my composition setup video, also if you didn't watch that, go ahead and watch it now. You know that there is a whole type of teams which is just ranger carry or mage carry, which builds up very easily. You just go with a front line there, you just go with some supports, not these, alright, but any of them, and you put the mage in the back line. So you're doing something like, I don't know, something like that, and you're happy with that, right? So this is a mage carry with the Luna being a carry here. So there's a whole type, not just a team, but a type of teams with this idea. And the majority of the problem here that Agnes is a chaos hero. She's a chaos character. She's not just random, even not a hybrid. She's much more expensive to build. And so then we know that there is a huge type of the teams like that. Now we need to understand, is it worth it to build her in? Because let's say we can just build Luna and she will be doing very close amount of damage and very close amount of value. Well, it's close to be true, but in the long run, Agnes will outdamage her. And also she has survivability, more survivability. But let's think about the team for Agnes. So she wants a long run fight with lots of the ultimates casted by her and by her team, while, that's very important, while she is alive. This is the biggest difference between all those mage carry teams. Because in all those mage carry teams, we always pick not just mage, but in the majority of cases like Luna, Shah or any of them, we also bring Rista there. Rista is #1 support for those teams because she's buffing the main carry, giving them attack and giving them unstoppable energy regeneration, but also healing them slowly but quite effectively. So for Agnes team, we cannot do that. It's not possible. So because Agnes wants to be alive as long as she can, because she needs a fight as long as she can, so Rista, and that's a good point, because this will be the core critical problem for Agnes building teams. I mean teams with Agnes, because all of the needed characters for those teams are already in other teams. So Rista is not here. All right, it's good. We are having her for another team. So now let's think what we need to have here. We need a very long-term fight with a very big amount of costed ultimates. So for me, it means that we definitely need 2 characters here, and it's for sure. First of them being Flores, right? And second of them being Angela. This for me is the minimum, the bare minimum we need to have for the whole team to survive long enough and to spam ultimates. But how the team will survive long enough with this setup, you ask me? That's a good question. So to add up to this, and yeah, of course, having Angela here is not a problem because you need to have 5 Angela copies in the late game. Florence is a problem. You need her not only in that team, obviously she's a very good unit, good support for any team, but let's think you will have this one, right? So now we need this team to stay alive. And how we can make it possible? Well, the first option is to bring Raphael here because she gives energy, she heals up, she buffs attack, amazing support for that team, 100%, no question. But in that setup, if you can see it here, if you not go to the tree and you not set up the tree for Raphael here, you will have problem with building a synergy, a resonance, right? So I will say to you that the best option for the team to work, and I believe this is the best of the best situation for this team to be consistent with Agnes, is this team. So in this team, if your what's her name? I forgot her name, sorry. Sehat, yeah, if your Sehat can ult here, in the majority of cases, your team will not die afterwards. So this is the best in slots, at least not from the resonance perspective. I still have doubts about that part, but for me, in my opinion, this is the best in slot situation for Agnes carrying PvE stages, especially high deficits. But you need builded Sehat. Sehat need to be huge, Awaken at least, Awaken 3 at best. Also you need to build Raphael. Do not look at these characters, of course, this account is kind of new, it's less than a month account, so we will have them apparently. But yeah, this is the best setup. And the problem here that with this setup, nothing is stopping you from putting any other character here. So yeah, this is very important, and I want to say it again. I was wrong about Agnes. I was thinking she cannot be a good carry for the PvE stages, but she can. The only problem is that she outperforms other more cheap versions of these teams, of these carries, like Luna, like whoever else, I don't know, Crossell, maybe, what else to say here? I don't know, Shah, yeah, sure. So she outperforms them only in 2 things. First, she cannot be one-shotted. She's not a glass cannon. And second, she outperforms them on a very, very long runs, and if enemy team has a high HP characters, because she gets more buffs from that. So boss stages for her, of course, is the best ones, but not the boss stages are not the problem anymore, right? So yeah, so we can think about different, different changes in this team. So for instance, we can bring Lunax here for some reason. It will increase our resonance. It also will work properly, I believe. Also, we can think about bringing here some more control, so the fights will be like this one. This one is perfect. I love Medusa. I believe Medusa will do her job here pretty well. She will make the fights last so long, and also she spams her ultimate. That's very, very important, especially with Florence. They both will spam their ultimates and they will stack up Agnes a lot. Also, Zeno is a good option. So if you don't have, Zeno is not spamming her ultimate, but she's making fights last very long, right? So if you do not have C-Hat, you can always, of course, think about Sylvana here. But the problem is that we need Sylvana for our teams, at least Akashic teams. So if you play Akashi Nuke or Akashi team in any variation, you will probably use Sylvana there, so we don't have her there. Also, we have our, of course, this guy, yeah, so Argus, right? So we have Argus. He's also a beast option for that, but he needs some survivability to live long enough for all that stuff to be cast well, and he needs additional support like Zeno, tank support, to help him to keep this alive, because he may die right after his ultimate on a huge deficits. He is not that type of a tank. He is the tank for the short fights when you need one ulti on your team. So let's say he's a good option for UR, Alice plus Rista, but I think he's not the best option for that setup. Best option is C-Hat, for sure. Also Ruby, yeah, Ruby can work here, but again, Resonance is a questionable part, but Ruby with her full Spirit Vessel, she will work as a beast here. So this is the short introduction. So yeah, Agnes can be very powerful. She can carry your team through PvE stages, but she needs a proper setup, which is kinda, specific to build. It's kind of hard to build in the early and mid game, I would say. So TLDR, right? So what is the the decision here we need to make? So should you pull Agnes or not while her banner is still up there and while you can do that? So in my opinion, the answer is yes. There are two options for you to build her. One is 9 stars, so you open her Soul Vessel. I believe this is the bare minimum. So, and this is very achievable through the event. So if you go here, you go to Tinted Mirage, and in the shop of the on the market of a Tinted Mirage, so here you will have her copies, and you can buy, 4 of them, right? 4 or something like that, 3, 4. So you can buy them here. So on top to them, you will need to do not that big amount of summons, and it's very, very important to say that you can build her, but she needs to have at least 9 stars. So this is the bare minimum. The proper build starts with Awaken for her, because she will have her Orlay, and from her Orlay she is already capable of doing all the stuff I was describing to you before. So the bare minimum is 9 stars. I believe if you cannot get her to 9 stars, and we will discuss the priority now, if you cannot, I would skip her. I will not prioritize her now. It will not help you that much. If you can do 9 stars, go and do it. She will be already doing too much for you. Bosses, PvE stages, she can be your next carry for 4th, like 5th or 6th team, whatever. So also the best of the best situation, of course, is to get her to A3 or to Awaken at least. This is the next stage of a priority, but it's very important to say, if your account is fresh, if you're a new gamer, newcomer, if you're a mid gamer, right, so you just started a few months ago, you definitely need other priorities. You need to have 1 copy of Rista, you need to have 1 copy of Florence, you need to have Thane, you need to build your Hell, you need to build your Akashi. So those are still number 1 priorities. If you, in my opinion, the priorities list is very simple. If you can buy low cost, buy only the event plus, I don't know, 100, 150 scrolls, off scrolls, I mean. If in that cost you can have her to 9 stars or close to that, go and do it. If she's like not the first Of course, if it's the first Chaos Nero character you summon, you shall not do that. But otherwise, you should. So if you don't have Fang A3, if you don't have Akashic Awaken at least, or 9 stars at least, if you don't have Hell Awaken at least or better A3, and 1 copy of Rista, 1 copy of Florence, 1 copy of UR Linux, this is not the correct time for you to focus on doing Agnes Awaken or Agnes Awaken 3. If you have everything I mentioned before, so you have Fang, Hell, Akashic, you can go and pull with her to Awaken or to Awaken 3. I believe it's worth it. She will be there for a long time. I believe we will see more content with bosses in the future. So yeah, also you need to remember that she's a very late game character. She needs a proper team and not an easy team for her to work properly. You cannot just put her in the random team in your campaign and wait for her to work properly. No, it will not happen. So if you're aiming to build some cat team, Agnes, I believe nowadays is the best carry, not glass cannon, but carry into that team. So this is it from me for today. Do not, guys, please subscribe to the channel. The giveaway is very happening, so feel free to join, comment, and like this video to join. That's it. I will bring more content to you. If you do not agree with something, feel free to describe your opinion in the comment section below. We will discuss. I may be not right. Everything I said is my personal opinion and based on our tests with the boys. So that's it. I hope it was helpful to anyone. Peace.